There we go. So, Randy, you are correct. On this graph right here, we have a blue linear line and a red non-linear line. So if I take a look at this blue line right here, I could find the slope by counting up, going over, going up, going over, and I can also find my y-intercept, right? But if I go back to a non-linear graph, which is the red one, right? Or if I just go back to a non-linear line in red, it doesn't have a slope, right? So the slope does not exist. It does have a y-intercept. It does have a bunch of x-intercepts, but there is no slope. So slope is only for linear expressions. So if you can find a slope, it's a straight line. And if you can't find a slope, it is not a straight line, it's nonlinear. So we already know, let's go to example 1. So example 1, you're given this expression, this equation, y equals 4x plus 7, right? It has a slope, which means it's a function. It's a straight line because it's in that y equals mx plus b form, right? So we know that this is a straight line. And we already know how to find the slope or the y-intercept of this graph. So what is my slope here? Lillian, I'm talking. What's my slope of this graph? 4. And then what's my y-intercept? Positive 7, right? So you guys already know how to find slope and y-intercept using an equation. All right? You guys also know how to find slope and the y-intercept off of graphs like this, if it's graphed. So if I have a graph like this, what's my y-intercept? It's at 0, right? It's at x equals 0. And then what's my slope? Jason Mooserbrush, what's my slope?
It is 4. What? Oh, wait. Oh, we're doing this graph.
Yeah, this different graph, yep. So what's my slope? Jason D, what's my slope? It's 2. You go up 2 over 1. So we know how to find slopes and y-intercepts of graphs. We know how to find them using equations. So example 2 is how do you find slope and y-intercept using a table? So you're given the table -1, -4, 0, 0, 1, 4, 2, 8, 3, 12, and 4 and 16. All right, so we have this table right here, and we should be able to determine how to find my y-intercept and my slope without graphing, right? So I could just go ahead and graph this right here, and it would look something like this, and I could be able to find it, right? But sometimes when you get graphs, they're not perfect numbers. So does anyone want to try to attempt how we would find slope, and that's the easier part, using the graph? All right, Randy, how would I find slope using the graph? It's not rise over run. I can't count. You're gonna have to use the equation. You're gonna have to use the equation y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we have a number of points in our table. We have this, 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 and this. Those are all points, right? I agree with you, Mushabash. I think that the easiest points to use are right here. Remember, we can use any points that we want. They just have to be 2 separate points in the table. So I'm going to do, these are my 2s and these are my 1s, right? So if I go in here and I label them nice and pretty, this will be y2, this is y1, this is x2, and this is my y1, and this is my x1. Right, so I just kind of went in there and labeled them, and now I can plug it into my my equation. So it would be 8 minus 4, and it would be 2 minus 1. And what's my slope going to be? 4 over 1. So m equals 4, right? That's how you would find slope, and that would work for any of the points that we have. So let's say I want to use different points. Let's say I want to use this point, 0, 0, and then let's say I want to use 2, 8. I'll make these my 2s. Whoops.
It works with rise over run as well.
So I'll make this my y2 and x2. This will be y1 and x1. And I would get 8 minus 0, and I would get 2 minus 0, and I'm going to get 8 over 2, which reduces down to 4. So it doesn't matter what point you use, right? Realistically, I could use the bottom 2 points. Whoops. I could use the bottom 2 points, which would be 16. Whoops. If I use the bottom 2 points, it would be 16 minus 12 over 4 minus 3, and that would be 4 over 1, and that equals 4. So the point I want to show you guys is that to find the slope, you can use any point that you want. It doesn't have to be the two, one on top of the other. You could just choose 2 points, make one your 2s, make one your 1s, and you can find slope using whatever you want. So I know right here, using my slope formula, that my slope is 4. Let's get rid of all this stuff right here.
Wait, but it says determine the slope slash rate increases here.
Say again.
It says determine the slope slash rate increases here.
I'm aware of what it says. I'm aware of what it says. So slope is 4, right? We just found out that the slope was 4 using our slope formula. And then example 2, letter B says, so this is A, letter B says, what is the y-intercept slash initial value from the table? So how do you find y-intercept when you have a table? Jason D. Say again? It's not the first y value. All right, so if I look at a graph, any graph that I want, the y, not necessarily, the y-intercept is always at x equals 0. The y-intercept is always at x equals 0. So I have to find where does x equal 0, and wherever it equals 0, the corresponding y value is my y-intercept. Yeah, so we have to understand that wherever the graph crosses the y-axis, it's always going to be at x equals 0. If it's at x equal 1, that's not the y-intercept, right? The y-axis is at x equals 0. So you're always looking for the point where x equals 0, your y-intercept will correlate with where x equals 0. So for this one, our y-intercept, right? So y-intercept is going to equal 0 because it correlates to where x equals 0.
But isn't it plus 7?
This is example 2. It's a different graph.
Oh, yeah.
This is example 2. Different table, different graph. Okay, let's move on to example 3.
Maybe no.
So example 3, we have a new table. X, Y, and then negative 2, 8, 0, 7, 2, 6, 4, 5, 6, 4. Okay, let's start off with slope because we have to find both. So we want slope and we also want y-intercept. Actually, which one's easier to find? Y-intercept, right? So for the y-intercept, I just got to figure out where does x equal 0. And I know that that's going to be my y-intercept. So it's going to be 7. So B is 7. That's the easy one. Now we got to find that slope, and when we're given a table and we're trying to find slope, we have to use the slope formula. So that's going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and we can use any 2 points. We can use the first row, the second row, third row, any 2 that we want. So Josh, what 2 seems the easiest? And we could use any 2 points. 2, 6, and 4, 5. All right, so Josh is going to choose these 2 points right here, 2, 6, 4, 5. I'm going to make, Josh, which one do you want to make your 1s? Which one do you want to make your 2s?
Make 2 and 6.
So 2, 6, 1. So we'll go, whoops. 2, so this is x1, this is y1, this is y2, this is x2. Now I can just plug into my formula. So if I plug it in, I'll get 5 minus 6 over 4 minus 2. And then 5 minus 6 is negative 1. And then 4 minus 2 is 2. So my slope is negative 1 over 2, or 1/2, right? So you found your slope and you found your y-intercept using the table. This is basically the foundation of everything we're going to be doing for here on out. We have to be able to look at a table and find the slope of the line. All right, so that's example 3. You found your y-intercept, and then you found your slope. All right, example 4, try it on your own. Oh, I know. That's going to be the fun part.
I'm done. Can I work on my skills?
Mr. Bosch, how'd you find the y-intercept of example 4? And how'd you get that? Yeah. But there's actually going to be a different way you're going to want to learn how to do it. All right, so. Trust me. Trust me. No, you can't. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, so let's start off with slope. Let's go with Sophia. Help me find slope here.
Well, I was trying to do it. Okay. Y2 minus Y1.
Yep.
And then X2 minus X1. So,
What 2 points did you use?
well, I didn't get finished.
All right, well, you can finish right now. Here we go.
So, do I keep talking?
Yep, keep going. What 2 points you want to use?
1, 4, and 2.
Awesome. Which one? Or keep going. So which point do you want to make your 1s? Which one do you want to make your 2s? Okay, so x1, x2, or whoops, x1, y1, and then y2, x2. All right, fill out the equation.
I'll give you the base. 2 minus 1
Top or bottom?
bottom.
That's the bottom. So 2 minus 1 on the bottom, and then on top it's going to be,
7 minus 4.
and that's going to equal
2. Wait, no. Wait.
3 over
My bad. 3 over 1.
3 over 1. So Sophia found our slope, m equals 3. M equals 3. Okay, but now we have to find our y-intercept. And this is where it gets tricky. Does anyone want to know, or does anyone want to try to attempt how to find the y-intercept? Randy, how do you find the y-intercept?
So I would do it because if you look, I'll never like plus 3, and that's
Yeah.
also what it says on the y.
Mhm.
Then for some reason 1 starts on 4, so just subtract 3 from 4, which is 1.
Yeah, you could take this 1 over 4, and then you could minus 1 and then minus 3, because the trend here is plus 1, plus 1, plus 1, and it's plus 3, plus 3, plus 3. So you think, well, if I want to try to figure out where x equals 0, I would just go back 1, right? And you would subtract 3, and you would get b equals 1. Now, there is another more efficient way of doing this that you're going to have to learn, because it's not going to be as easy as that, especially on your test. So here's how you do it. What is the slope formula? Or sorry, what is not the slope formula? What is the equation of a line? What's that formula? It's y equals, yes. So y equals mx plus b. Well, choose any point. Choose a point, anyone. Let's use 310. Let's use the point 310. All right, so if I use the point 310, which one's my x value?
3.
So x equals 3. X equals 3, and y equals 10. And then I know that m equals 3 because we already found that, right? So I'm going to take a point, and I'm going to plug it into the equation, right? So y is 10, and I get that from this, equals 3, which I get from my slope, and then x is 3 plus b. So now I have an equation here that I can go ahead and solve. All right? And this just requires a little bit of algebra, and I solve for b, right? So it's going to be 10 equals 9 plus b. Well, that's a math fact, right? What plus b equals 10? 1, right? Or you could keep going. You could subtract 9 from both sides, and you get b equals 1. Now, you can use any point that you want on this graph. So let's use the first point. Well, if this equals y and this equals x, I'll just plug it into my formula, right? Y equals mx plus b. I know that m equals 3, x would equal 1, y equals 4 plus b. And then you go ahead and solve, and it would be 3 plus b equals 4. You subtract b from both sides, 3 from both sides, so you would get 1 equals b. Right? So that's another way you can solve, and that is going to be the way that you're going to have to know on your test, because it's not going to be as easy as these patterns, the plus 3, plus 3, plus 1, plus 1. So b equals 1. Example 5, I want you guys to try to do both on your own. So example 5, you're given a chart, which is x, y, 1, 5, 2, 10, 3, 15, and 4, 20. So you got to find slope, and then you got to find your y-intercepts.
Should be getting double time for science since you miss out on a bunch of days.
You'll be fine.
We're way behind.
You all right, Josh? Start with slope. Start with slope. That's going to be the easiest one. Any 2 points, yeah.
Yesterday, we were watching TV in the living room, and then out of nowhere, she was like, I discovered a new noise, and then she started going,
I don't know how to airdrop. I know it's not me, but I don't know how to airdrop.
Yeah, usually airdrop, it tells you who it's from.
Yeah, that's why I said.
Well, no, it wasn't. We didn't get them. It was just. Yeah. All right. So, well, if you don't have them saved in the contact, then it's random number. But if you have them saved, then it says like their contact. Yeah. I'm not at the liberty to discuss that. I'm sure Sam can tell you later. All right. So, let's start with Sam. Find the slope for me, or walk me through how you find the slope. So what'd you get? Slope is 2? How? Which one? Or what 2 points did you use?
1, 5, and 2.
Which one are your 2s and which ones are your 1s?
The 10 and the 5s.
That's your 2s?
Yeah,
Your 2s? Okay, so it's y2, x2, x1, y1, and then fill in the formula.
Oh, that's what I did wrong.
You flipped it, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you get it right, what's the slope? Let's go with Josh. I plugged it into the equation. What's our slope? 5. Yeah, you could say 5 over 1, but it's just 5, right? Now, here is what I want you to get in the used to doing, right? You don't have x equals 0. So I want you guys to start using this formula where it's y equals mx plus b that we're already familiar with. We just found that slope is 5. And then we have an x and we have a y, and we can choose any one of these points because they are all xy, xy. So, Sophia, what point do you want to plug in to our slope formula? Do you want to use the first row, second row, third row, or fourth row? Let's use that first row. So, if I use the first row, Sophia, what's my equation going to say? So we'll use this one right there. 5 equals 5 equals. Yeah, well, it's not. I mean, it's not 1 right now. You're forgetting this part right here. So 5 equals 5 times 5 times 1. Where'd you get the 1 from? The equation. And then plus b. Now we're able to solve, correct? Yes?
5 equals 5.
How the heck does that happen?
I don't know.
Bro, what?
It's not wrong. 5 equals 5. Subtracted by 1.
Yeah, what?
Wait, what?
Because you minus 5, and b equals 0.
Yeah, b equals 0. So it would just be like 5 equals 5.
Why does that work out that way? How does that work out?
It starts from the origin. And the origin. It's easier to graph.
Ah, okay. No, I'm sorry. You're correct. Sophia, so when you solve b equals, that means the graph begins at the... Yeah. Yes, you're right. You were right. You're right. I had something different. So you have your slope and you have your y-intercept, right? Now, example 6 is an example why you can't just necessarily follow the patterns. So we have x, y. We have 2 functions, actually. We have 2 functions. I'm going to write like this. So we have function A and we have function B. And they are 2 separate functions. So function A, you have a really cool formula. Super easy. 2x minus 4. Very easy to find slope. Very easy to find y-intercept. So what is my slope of function A?
2.
Just 2. What is my y-intercept of function A?
4.
Negative 4. Negative 4. All right, what is the question asking for, though? Which one's greater? All right, so that means if I want to figure out which one's greater and which one's least, I have to find my slope and my y-intercept using the table. All right, so I got to figure out, hey, does function A have a greater slope or does function B have a greater slope? So let's find out. Function A was very easy to figure out, but now function B, we're given a table. We have to look at that table and say, okay, let's find the slope. So function B, how do I find my slope? Let's go with Lillian. How do I find my slope?
So y2 minor, yeah. Minor. I mean no.
You're fine. I got you. All right, and then what 2 points do you want to use?
So it's 1.5. I mean 4.5.
All right, I got you. So you want to use the first 2 slope points? Let's use these 2. All right, so if you use those 2, Lillian, let's just make this your 2s. Let's make this your
That's 1. I mean that's 2.
1s. And then this is your, whoops, this is your 1s. Oh my gosh. And then this is your 1s. All right, so Lillian, when you plug it all in to the equation.
So y equal 4.5 and x equal 3.
Yeah, so you have 5.5 minus 1 over 5 minus 2, which equals 3. So you're going to get 4.5 over 3. My slope is 4.5 over 3. So right off the bat, function A or function B, which one has a greater slope?
A.
Function A has a greater slope, right? So now we got to go find the y-intercept. How do I find my y-intercept? Well, I'm going to plug it into an equation. I'm going to have y equals 4.5x plus b. I'm going to use the first one because that's the easiest one. So it's going to be 1 equals 4.5 times 2 plus b. What's 4.5 times 2? 9. So it's 1 equals 9 plus b. When I subtract by 9 on both sides, my b equals negative 8. All right, so which function has a greater slope, A or B? A has a greater slope. So A has a greater slope. And then B has, which one has a greater y-intercept? Which one has a greater y-intercept? Not the second one, A or B. Which one is greater? Ooh, it's not greater. It's negative, right? So function A, yeah.
This word said you should have checked your text. They have to switch it to 9 because of testing and because she has a meeting at 9. So
All right. Well, they can come in after my lesson's done. So, hey, which one is greater and which one's least?
A is
A is greater. There you go.